Hi, everyone. I'm Steve, here as always for our weekly interview with Dr. Nario. Thanks for being with us, Dr.
Hi, Steve.
Nario.
Thank you for the invite. Always happy to be here.
Okay, so we're going to talk about DMSO, which is an IV drip, which I've done. My wife has done quite a few of them. So if you guys want to know about this or any other treatments that they do at Biointegrative Health Center, you can check them out online. They're in Reno, Nevada. Easy to find Biointegrative Health Center in Reno, Nevada, and they do a lot of other treatments other than this one we're going to talk about. We've talked about it a long time ago, but thought that we would get kind of a fresh interview up on DMSO. So, first, doctor, what is
Well,
DMSO?
Steve, it's called dimethyl sulfoxide. So that's why I just call it DMSO for everybody to remember it easy. But DMSO is something that is actually surrounding us. It's in nature. And you can find it in coals, oils, even in trees. And also, it's present in small amounts in the body. And it does have sulfur, so just why be careful when people are so reactive to sulfur compounds. So you really have to be cautious about this. And being a good solvent, as it's known for, meaning it can easily mix with other substances. It has this high ability to transport medications or anything you want to go through the skin. It's like a vehicle, and it penetrates tissues fast and cell walls, and again transports substances. It's like a yeah, it's like your moving van basically, and so that it can go from point A to point B real fast. But again, as I said, there's a lot of this in nature, and the thing here is again, you don't use that, but it's just when it's created by, for example, by algae, and it interacts with ozone and ultraviolet light to turn into DMSO. And when it rains, usually, yes, now you have a lot of DMSO there. But all commercial available DMSO are manufactured. So that's not the nature version. Don't think we're scraping off trees for that.
Don't need a
Right.
tree, huh?
And then also small amounts in plants makes extraction impractical. You can't do that. So it remains an indisputable fact that both molecules are found in nature and therefore also natural. Is metabolically converted to MSM, as I mentioned to you a while ago, when inside the body, because you will find MSM products. And you can find this usually in commercial creams for wrinkles and even inflammation. So MSM is methyl sulfonyl methane. Call it MSM. Don't be memorizing that word. And here's a fun fact: initially used in horses, DMSO is, and now medically grade version is available.
So I know that it's used for a lot of things at your clinic. You use it for a lot of different protocols for treating a lot of different things. Like someone's got a hurt back or whatever. So I know that it's used for a lot of different protocols. So tell us about some of the benefits of why you'd use this. And then also, we talked about before we got on here about smell, so I know you always tell people, hey, you might want to stay home for a couple days,
Right,
right?
right,
Um, when you get the treatment. So, talk about all the different benefits this can provide for
right.
someone.
Well, Steve, again, DMSO is both water and liquid soluble. It's really famous for its anti-inflammatory effect because it actually again neutralizes I guess free radicals and hydrogen peroxide reactions in the body, and that's why it's also called a free radical scavenger. And we use it a lot for any infections, and again it goes well, it works. That's the good part about DMSO. It's a good partner to have. So it works well, like for example with antibiotics to kill infections. In chemotherapy, it actually enhances the absorption of chemotherapy, and it makes the chemo stronger. So the good example for that is we use this a lot in brain. It's very hard to penetrate brain cancers or brain tumors, but with the use of DMSO, you make the facilitation easier for them to go in there. And DMSO also, you're going to see that in preserving, like when we order stem cells or exosomes, DMSO is the one that preserves that. And again, with a lot of things in relation to autoimmune diseases, you just mentioned aches and pains. RA, lupus has these type of things, but even for normal individuals like our athletes who just went through rigorous training, a lot of joint pains. So DMSO is actually good. And one thing that I also kind of remember is shingles pain. Very hard to treat, very painful. One of the things that I have seen, it's not going to happen in one treatment, though, multiple treatments, it helps lowering down that very nasty shingle pain. And that's why one of the things also that to take note is what this is FDA approved. Okay, I don't use that word much. It's FDA approved for actually interstitial cystitis. This is a disease of the bladder, and they infuse DMSO in there to lower down that inflammation. So you rarely hear FDA approved in our talks here, but for this one, that kind of hits the mark. And of course, the creams we do that for any topical issues, inflammation, and even any pain. But here's also, since I work in a cancer center, leakage of chemotherapy on the skin. So those are very corrosive agents. And when you put it on there, it lowers down that inflammation. So a lot of uses. I mean, I'm just describing probably my experience, but there's probably more out there for others to say.
Yeah, when you're talking about reducing inflammation, I mean that could have infinite benefits,
Right.
right?
That's right. Any type of condition, Steve, any pathology with inflammation, DMSO is your person or your your substance.
And inflammation is one of the things that causes
Right.
pain, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I know that you do an IV drip there at the clinic. So that's one way you could administer it. So tell us about that, how you do that, and is there any other ways that you could
Yeah,
administer?
Steve. So for IV, that's definitely something that we use a lot of here, and we mix it a lot. For example, with like peroxide, and because of course infections, most of the time we use peroxide for. And as I mentioned to you, it's a good buddy to have to increase the potency of such, meaning enhancing hydrogen peroxide, and also in vitamin drips. I also mentioned about a while ago, it enhances absorption. So you want to absorb all of these nutrients and vitamins fast, and you don't want them to go to waste. So that's why it goes also good with vitamin drips. And with IV therapies, you mentioned a while ago that there's a stinky smell. So this is something that we always see, and this is not what we call stinky. It's really sulfur that's in DMSO, and it's described usually as garlicky, Cornish, old socks. I've heard that, and it's stronger as it gets into the system. 48 hours is usually the time limit that you're going to have this stinky smell. So make sure you don't have any socials or parties to go
48?
to.
Did you say 48
48 most
hours?
of the time. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, and again, you don't want to be people be running away from you. And the problem here is don't shower. It's not going to go away. All that scrubbing is not going to remove it. It's internal. And it's so bad that we had patients, even like their wives told their husbands to sleep in the couch. Family members didn't want to hang out with them. So that's kind of like what the MO of DMSO is. And for creams, when you rub it, it turns red just because of the anti-inflammatory action of it. So, but most of our applications here in the clinic would be more of the IV, and we use it in chronic conditions like cancer, autoimmune, and even pain.
Wow, amazing treatment. And, you don't want to scare anybody off from the smell thing or anything, but, because my wife has done it a number of times and I wouldn't call it a stink. I wouldn't call it garlicky. That's not how I describe it. But I would say that it's obnoxious,
Right.
you know, but it's not a stinky
Hmm.
smell. It's just an obnoxious smell to me anyway. I guess everybody describes it
Well,
differently,
I
don't they?
like it. I work a lot with cancer patients, and it's just kind of like an everyday type of smell for me. So, but others, yeah, it's a little pungent. They don't like it, but hey, as long as it helps and it has health benefits, right? That's what I care for.
Yeah, and there you go. I guess the most beneficial way to administer this is through an IV, right in your vein. And wow, the benefits of this thing just goes on and on and on. Go do some of your own research and see what else it does, because just inflammation,
Right.
like you said, but the absorption and all those other things you said is just absolutely amazing. So appreciate your input, doctor, and you're talking about a great treatment. Again, you guys want to know more about Biointegrative Health Center, you can find them online, Reno, Nevada. Thanks for being with us,
Well, Steve,
doctor.
thank you again. As we all know, knowledge is power, and thank you for letting me provide you with the edge in longevity and health maintenance, which I call the biological edge or the bio edge.